Good morning and welcome to Football League World TV. My name is Ned Holmes and today I'm joined by my Football League World colleague Toby Wilding to discuss the three championship players we think it's time to get excited about. Toby, how are you doing this morning?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Great to have the football season back over the weekend and some really intriguing results and some stunning goals to get us underway. So yeah, going to be really good now to take a look at some of the players who are going to
Absolutely
have a big part to play this season.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, some fantastic results. A low-scoring first round of fixtures, but certainly some of the goals were really eye-catching ones. We'll talk about a few of the impressive players that no doubt made our list. A reminder, as always, before we get started, please do like and share this video. Subscribe to Football League World TV on YouTube, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Who are the championship players that you're most excited about watching for the season ahead? Well, as you say, Toby, with a new season underway, we thought it was time really to let people know the players that we felt everyone should be really excited about heading into the new season. We've picked three each. We've taken slightly different approaches. You've gone for sort of all new arrivals on your list, and mine's more of a mixed bag. Well, the first name on your list is someone then, Toby, who will be familiar to EFL fans, but Sunderland supporters are just really getting to know him. Why is Ellis someone that you're really excited about?
Yeah, this is one that really interests me, if I'm being honest. I mean, looking at Ellis and what he did for Blackpool back in the 2020-21 season, he was an absolute massive part for them in terms of getting promoted from League One to the Championship. So I was kind of really surprised that last summer a Championship move didn't sort of materialise for him. I felt like that would have been a really good opportunity for him at that point. Obviously, it didn't happen. Instead, he got that move to Hearts in the Scottish Premiership. He really impressed there. Again, showed he knows just where the net is and showed that he can sort of really be a menace for defenders with his presence. So I think to see that in the Championship is going to be really intriguing to see sort of if he can indeed do it at this level. And I think as well for Sunderland to get this deal done, when you consider sort of some of the other clubs that were being linked with him, for them to be the ones to win that race as a newly promoted club is probably a bit of a coup, and again a really important one when you consider sort of the reliance there has been on Ross Stewart to get the goals in the past sort of season or so. It's going to be really fascinating to see if Ellis Sims is someone who can sort of lift a bit of that pressure on Sunderland as main man there and step up himself. And yeah, so that makes this a really sort of exciting one to see what he's going to do.
Yeah, I really agree with you in the sense of the fit for me is one of the things that makes it really exciting. Sunderland will want to be with a lot of the players that they've got a sort of fast attacking team at times, and that should suit Sims. And as you say, with only Stewart there at the moment, he should get plenty of game time, I think, as well. He's someone that we've seen go in the January window in the past, but this is a season-long loan, so it's going to be really exciting to see how he adapts to that. And as you sort of picked up on, I mean, his goal scoring record in those brief loan spells, I think it was 7 in 21 at Hearts and 10 in 23 at Blackpool, just kind of feels like this could be a real year when he kicks on. Feels like every season there's a Premier League striker on loan who really catches the eye. We had Keenan Davis and Cameron Archer, of course, last year, and you hope that this year it could be Sims.
Yes.
Sorry to run it in front of you there, Toby. We'll move on to the next one, and I've opted for a forward first as well, and that's Watford's Joao Pedro, goal scorer, of course, in their 1-0 win against Sheffield United yesterday. I tend to think that there's a tendency often for fans to underrate players when they drop back to the Championship after a sort of poor relegation campaign. Obviously, Watford will be really disappointed how things went last season, and Joao Pedro as well. I think it was only 4 goals for him, 9 last time he was in the Championship though, and I think it's significant that amongst all the attacking talent that Rob Edwards had, we saw him sort of central to that forward line yesterday, getting the nod. And easy to forget that he's still just 20, and we've seen in the EFL in the past, like that he can really create these moments of magic, capable of scoring some fantastic goals. And I think in a Watford team that looks like a really strong squad, he's someone that I just kind of feel this could be the right time for him now to make a real impact at a championship level. What are your thoughts on Pedro, Toby?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think, as you say, the last time he was at this level, he sort of burst onto the scene a bit, didn't he? And that just showed with the way he did that with some of the goals he scored. He's certainly a player that can excite with the sort of moments he produces. And sort of, as you say, it didn't quite work out for him in the Premier League to begin with. It almost felt like he was, maybe needed a bit more time to adapt to that level, which is understandable, as you say. At that age, it's still very early in his career to be playing at that level, and particularly when you're sort of in a squad that things aren't going well for you. It's hard, probably at that age, you would imagine, to be the one to step forward and really make an impact. But he did show glimpses again of what he can do in the Premier League. There were some very nice finishes from him, certainly towards the end of last season, where he showed just how good he has the potential to be. So again, you would expect that to maybe flourish in the Championship. We saw that last night in the win over Sheffield United. Obviously, the goal was a really instinctive finish from Pedro, but I think as well his all-round performance certainly seemed promising to me with his movement, the way he was sort of dropping in behind. He was pulling Sheffield United defenders out. Some of his passes really looked like they could cause problems for that Blaze defence and create opportunities for his teammates. So a really promising all-round performance from Pedro. And I think it's worth noting when you consider the other two that made up that front three for Watford last night, Emmanuel Dennis and Ismail Assar. Obviously, plenty of speculation about them, which is not surprising given how good they are as well. And if they were to go between now and the end of the transfer window, then that could potentially, put the focus onto Joao Pedro being the main man in leading the line for Watford this season, and that as well would sort of generate a really intriguing subplot and give us a big opportunity to see just what he can do as the focal point for the Hornets.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. In the sense of stepping back down to the Championship now after that sort of season of experience in the Premier League, while a stronger finish, which is obviously a positive way round to do it. And you just feel with that added time, he's going to get on the ball. The defenders that little bit less tight. It's going to be really interesting to see him as a goal scorer, but as you say, as a creator as well, and certainly one to keep an eye on. And in a team that you'd imagine Rob Edwards will want to get playing sort of really exciting and expansive football this year. Next up, then, Toby, you've got a recent arrival at Ewood Park. Why Tyler Morton for you?
Yeah, just because this is just such a massively exciting signing for me. I think obviously Blackburn Rovers loaning Liverpool players, he's nothing new anymore, is it? This is the third one in as many seasons. Obviously, Harvey Elliott in 2020-21 was a massive success. Leighton Clarkson last season certainly didn't work out as well for whatever reason. But for me, I just get that feeling that Morton is going to be more down the Elliott route than the Clarkson route for a number of reasons. I think, you sort of look at some of the games he's already played in for Liverpool this season. We got a full hour at Tottenham in the Premier League last season. He played full 90 minutes in wins over Porto and AC Milan in the Champions League. And, he held his own in those, and he got a lot of praise for his performances in those matches from the likes of Jurgen Klopp, Thiago Alcantara. They've all spoken so highly about him. So I think when you're getting that sort of praise and that sort of credit for the way he performed in those sorts of games in particular, it's just hugely promising in terms of the prospects that a player has. And Morton is obviously drawing those credits. And I think as well, it's a massive position that Blackburn needed to add to. We've lost the likes of Joe Rothwell, Bradley Johnson, and Jacob Davenport have all moved on. Johnson and Davenport were certainly not heavily involved last season, but Joe Rothwell was a massive player that they had to replace. His creativity was so important to Blackburn's promotion hopes during the first half of last season. And Morton, it seems, is going to be the one that Rovers look to sort of fill that attacking void from the centre of the park in midfield, which is obviously going to be a big test for him. And that's going to be fascinating to see how he holds up with that, playing regular first team football for the first time in his career. And, you know, as I say, with the creativity that people feel he can provide, it's going to be really sort of intriguing to see if he can produce that week in, week out. I mean, some of the range of his passing and gets a huge amount of praise. So I think to see those sort of balls that he can think about is going to be really entertaining this season.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think for me, two big reasons why this one's so exciting. You touched sort of upon them both, really. A player that Jurgen Klopp, with all the sort of talent in the Liverpool squad, and obviously it was at times due to injuries and unavailability and stuff like that, but the fact he was so happy to sort of time and time again pick him in big games, and as you say, he was rarely let down. He didn't look out of place or usually struggled too much with sort of keeping up the pace of the game. So that was hugely impressive. That speaks to the sort of quality of player we're talking about. And then also, as you say, the fact that he really looks likely to get a central role in that Blackburn midfield. He looks likely to get so much responsibility. You know, often you see these lone players come down and they'll get sort of drips and drabs and if it doesn't start off really well for them, it's hard because you know that they maybe don't have that much of the manager's trust. But you do feel here that really Blackburn are going to look to, you know, make him a really central player in that middle of the park with Joe Rothwell gone, and in that sense, it's just really exciting to see a young up and coming player like that get such a go in the Championship. We're talking about sort of young and exciting up-and-coming players. My next pick is Alex Scott of Bristol City. Someone with a huge amount of talent, a strong breakthrough year last season. A strong breakthrough year last season. We got Scott Twine there rather than Alex Scott. But yeah, helped the England under-19s win the Euros in the summer and tipped as a future senior international by Nigel Pearson. Reports today suggesting Man United have inquired about the teenager, but I think if he stays put at City, then I think we could see him really take his game up another level this season, in part due to, you know, just having that experience under his belt. But mostly, I think it was significant that against Hull City we saw Sykes pushed out as the right wing back, and Alex Scott played it in the number 10 role last season. We saw him utilised as sort of more of a utility player, often in that right wing back role, sometimes in a deeper midfield. But it does seem as though now Nigel Pearson is really keen to get him in that sort of final third, an area where he can really impact the game. And I think with the likes of Vyman, Martin, Semenyo, Sykes, Wilson, you know, those sort of players are around him, I'm excited to see what he can do as a sort of creator and a goal scorer as well. And just see someone that I think's certainly in my eyes one of the brightest talents in the Championship. Really see how they can sort of kick on after a strong first season. I don't know what your thoughts are on Scott, Toby.
Yeah, I agree with you there. As you say, I think it's going to be sort of really interesting to see how he does it in that more advanced role this season. I think we sort of saw glimpses with some of the goals he did score last season, just how good a finisher he can be. And if he is sort of allowed to move forward and get in and around the final third more, then you can only sort of expect that to happen more often, partly because of the fact he's going to just be in that right position to sort of apply those finishes. But also, as you say, he's got that season under his belt now. He knows he's capable of playing at that level. He's going to be ready now to back himself, which is a huge thing for a player at the age of 18 years old to be at that stage already for him. That just sort of opens up so many possibilities for him, not just this season, but in the future with so much remaining in his career. And as you mentioned there, linked with the likes of Manchester United, I think that just goes to show how good he has been and how sort of eye-catching a player he is, because you do have to be something quite special to sort of attract those sorts of links with those clubs, and for him to be doing it at that age is just huge testament to how well and how quickly he has sort of stepped up to senior football at a very high level in the Championship. So yeah, definitely a really talented player who's going to be sort of, I think, produce some very entertaining moments over the course of the campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, 4 players so far. We've picked Ellis Sims, Joao Pedro, Tyler Morton and Alex Scott. And we'll move on to our final picks then. So then, Toby, who is your final pick?
Yeah, as I say, I've sort of gone with the theme of exciting new players coming into the Championship to keep an eye on, and rounding that off is Zian Flemming at Millwall. Obviously, coming from the Eredivisie after a couple of excellent seasons in that Dutch top flight with Fortuna Sittard, 12 goals in each of his last 2 campaigns for Fortuna, and he's now a record signing for Millwall, which I think sort of goes to show both the intent that they have and sort of the quality that they are bringing in here. He's a player who can score and create, and I think for Millwall in particular, we sort of saw the potential they have to really mount a top 6 push with what they did last season, and sort of having lost Jed Wallace in the summer, that sort of left a big void in their attacking midfield area. And not just with Flemming, obviously that's who I've chosen to focus on here, but George Honeyman as well. It does look like they've done brilliantly in terms of bringing players in to sort of fill that void. And I think Flemming in particular, he's another one. He's still sort of at a relatively early stage of his career at 24, so there's a lot more for him to produce. And I think as well, if you sort of consider some of the clubs that he was being linked with, I think Nottingham Forest was supposedly very sort of heavily interested in him in the past. It does sort of, again, make this a bit of a coup for Millwall in my eyes. Obviously, as I say, with what he can produce. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting for me to sort of see how he adapts now to the Championship, because if he does manage to settle in quickly, then as I say, with sort of what he's produced in the past in the Dutch top flight, it does look as though he could be a really key part to a Millwall side who should really, for me, have big ambitions for this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it speaks volumes really about the strength of Millwall's summer recruitment in those creative areas that we are all still so positive about, that their hopes of forcing their way into the playoffs, despite losing that talismanic attacking figure that Jed Wallace has been there over so many seasons. As you touched on, he's obviously got that Ajax pedigree coming through there, and we've seen his qualities as a goal scorer and a creator in the Eredivisie. I think it's 27 goals and 11 assists over the past 2 seasons. So if he can reach those sort of levels for Millwall, he's going to be sort of getting bums off seats at the Den, certainly. And you mentioned it there, but I think for me, at 24, it seems like the perfect age really for him to enter the Championship. He's buoyed by those 2 big seasons in the Eredivisie, and now really must be hungry to make his impact in English football. And I'm really hopeful that really he can do that, and we could see him really kick on and help Millwall push towards that top 6. Finally, for me, and another a 4th new signing on our list, and that's the 2021-22 League One Player of the Season, Scott Twine. Obviously joined Burnley, but honestly, I really felt like he could be moving to a Premier League club in the summer. He was that impressive for MK Dons for me last season. A really smart footballer, and with all the trickery and technical ability to go with it, really. And I think Championship fans should get used to, or should expect to see some fantastic goals from him this season, because that's the sort of player he is. We nearly saw him whip that free kick in against Huddersfield, but I think on from the bench and that, but I really expect him to quickly become a key player in a Burnley side that really should be challenging at the top of the division. Obviously, there's been so much talk over the last 3 or 4 days about this new look Burnley and under Vincent Kompany at Burnley that, you know, going to get the ball on the floor to try and dominate games and really, you know, play exciting attacking football. And I do think Twine, amongst some other players, could be central to that. I've got a huge amount of, I think he's got a really big future in the game, and I can really see him sort of really catching the eye in the Championship in his first season at this level. It seems like everywhere he's been so far, he's sort of stepped up to the challenge, and I'm not sure, Toby, you expect to see him do that again this time?
Yeah, I won't be surprised at all to see him become a really big player really quite quickly for Burnley. I think, as you sort of touched on there, he's been around a bit. He played probably for a number of different Football League clubs on different loan and permanent deals, and I think it sort of speaks volumes that with each move he's made, he's sort of improved and his impact has become more significant. So yeah, as you say, he's certainly now at that stage where he is ready to make that step up to the Championship, and as with that development that he has shown so quickly over the past few years, you know, you would fully expect him to be making that sort of impact. I think, as you say, I completely agree. The style of play that it looks like Burnley are going to be employing under Vincent Kompany should certainly fit in with what Twine does best. And as you say, he should thrive in the Championship because it looks as though he's playing for one of the teams that many certainly expect to be challenging for automatic promotion this season. So, you know, if you're playing in a side with that sort of ability around you, you're going to get opportunities to really make your mark. And as we say, Twine certainly has the ability to do that. He was so close with that free kick on Friday night, and obviously that didn't go off for him. But you know, it's happened so many times before where it has dropped in. So I think, as we say, the more he plays and the more opportunities he gets, which he certainly should do this season in that Burnley side, the more you would expect him to be finding the back of the net with efforts like that. And obviously, everyone wants to be seeing goals of that quality, unless they're against your side. So for the neutrals and Burnley fans as well, it means that there's going to be a lot of excitement, I think, produced from Scott Twine. You know, like we're saying here, there's going to be plenty of long range efforts, and we know we can find the net so consistently when doing that. So, as I say, that should allow us to enjoy some really spectacular goals. And of course, he's got that creative side to his game as well. He's not just a scorer; he can make things happen for his teammates as well. And that too is going to be a massive sort of feather in the cap for Burnley. So I think it's certainly a really exciting signing for the Clarets. And as you say, maybe he could have gone to a Premier League club this summer. He didn't in the end. He's ended up in the Championship. But I think if he performs like he can do, then it probably won't be long until he's playing in the top flight, either with Burnley or with another club on the back of sort of the attention he's going to attract with what he does at Turf Moor this season.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, I think, hard to know whether there were Premier League clubs seriously interested in him, but we saw with that move to MK Dons and perhaps now even this one to Burnley that he's prioritising the opportunity to get a lot of playing time under his belt. And I think, you know, the season it's crazy really how much the mindset and how much positivity has grown at Burnley from when they were first relegated. I think there was a lot of talk of people worried about the club really, but now with Kompany in and that, you know, the impetus of new youth in the squad, it's an exciting time, and it certainly would not be a surprise to me to see Scott Twine quickly become a fan favourite rather at Turf Moor. Well, that is the 6 players of many exciting players in the Championship this season. Myself and Toby are excited to see Ellis, Sims, Joao, Pedro, Tyler Morton, Alex Scott, Zian Flemming and Scott Twine. Well, that's everything from myself and Toby and everything for Football League TV today. But make sure you tune in tomorrow for the EFL Transfer Zone, which as ever you'll be in the safe hands of Sam Rourke, and he'll be talking about all the biggest transfer stories. I'd actually need to say thanks everyone for watching, and thank you, Toby.